My husband wanted to open up our marriage, and now I'm dating his boss, so now he wants to close it. Let me start this by saying I didn't mean to start dating his boss. It all happened accidentally. My husband and I have been married for almost 8 years now, and we have always had a healthy marriage and great intimacy life, or so I thought. It came completely out of the blue when my husband sat me down a few months ago and said that he was feeling unsatisfied with our physical connection and he needed something more to be able to be fulfilled. I was so confused. We are intimate a couple of times a week, and he never gave any indication he was feeling unhappy in the bedroom. I was feeling hurt before he even dropped the bomb on me that he wanted to open up our marriage. I felt so small and unwanted, and he rambled on wanting to experience more freedom, but he assured me that he loved me and he wanted to stay together. I asked him why I wasn't enough for him and if there was anything I could do to make him happier in the bedroom or in our marriage in general. But all he said was that it had more to do with his masculinity than me. It didn't make me feel better, but I loved him and we had already been together for so long. So reluctantly I agreed and we decided to be open from that day on. Our only terms was that we had to disclose to one another when we would start seeing people. The first couple of weeks were excruciating. He immediately started seeing a woman from his office and I would just stay at home and cry myself to sleep while I pictured him out with the younger, more attractive woman. I was devastated for a while and honestly had zero interest in dating anyone other than my husband. But after 5 months of him dating one girlfriend and spending most nights with her instead of at home with me, I decided that I deserved to experience some freedom as well. I made a Tinder account one night while he was out with his girlfriend and I was surprised when I got over 100 matches on the very first night. No one was really catching my attention until I matched with this one very handsome older man. He seemed very successful and he was a gorgeous silver fox. I ended up messaging him and we went out a couple of days later. I remembered the feeling of waiting for him at the bar and it felt nice to have romantic butterflies for the first time in almost a decade. The date went amazingly and we went to see each other and eventually slept together. It was one of the most thrilling, exotic nights of my life. I hate to say it, but he was a much more talented lover than my husband, and I guess because he was older, he had more experience. Anyways, I told my husband about my boyfriend and he honestly seemed like he didn't believe me. He literally patted me on the head and said, "Aw, good for you, honey," before heading out the door to spend the night with his girlfriend. Things got messy in a way I could never have anticipated. I knew the situation was sort of rocky, but now I truly feel like I'm living inside a soap opera. Yesterday, my boyfriend texted me asking if he left a manila folder in my car the last time we saw each other. I found the folder and he asked if I could drop it off at his job. I was off that day and figured they were important work documents, so I gathered the folder and a little snack and he sent me his location so I could come drop it off. You can imagine how stunned I was when I followed the address and it took me to my husband's place of work. I had no idea that he and my husband worked together, and all I knew was that he was the head of whatever company he worked for and he held the highest position in his office. He never spoke much about his work and we just liked to relax when we hung out together. Well, I walked into the office feeling awkward about possibly seeing my husband. I walked to my boyfriend's office and he came out to take the folder from me. He thanked me and gave me a little kiss before going back. When I turned around, of course, my husband happened to be walking by at that exact moment. He had obviously seen his boss kiss me and realized he had been my boyfriend all along. His mouth made the perfect O shape and there was hurt creeping into his eyes. I felt sort of embarrassed at that moment, even though I had done nothing wrong, so I just said hi to my husband and quickly left the office. When my husband finally got home, he broke down in tears and said how I could do this to him. I reminded him that the entire situation was his idea in the first place, and that's when my husband said that he was willing to close the marriage if it meant I would stop seeing his boss. The thing is, I have real feelings for my boyfriend and I feel like my husband is being controlling and unfair. I find myself doubting my entire marriage and I think I might end up having to choose between the two of them.
Am I the asshole for wanting to keep an expensive birthday gift that makes my boyfriend uncomfortable? I, female, just turned 25 and have a friend, Logan, male, 25, and we've been friends since we were 7/8. I have a boyfriend, Matt, who I've been dating for 8 months. My birthday was last week and I had a dinner party for some friends before we all went out to a club. There was 8 of us, including Logan and Matt. We had a little bit of a gift opening before dessert and Logan gifted me an old copy of The Great Gatsby. The book has a special significance to us because for many years, Logan and I lived in different countries. countries. We kept in contact, but we didn't see each other in person for about 4 years. We finally got our parents to agree for me to fly to his country to visit in 2013. We were talking about what we were going to do on the visit, and I really wanted to go and see The Great Gatsby movie, which had just come out, as it is my favorite book. Logan had never even heard of it, and I said he had to read it before we went to see the movie. Logan was never academic, and to this day, it is the only fiction book he's ever read all the way through, not counting children's books. Whenever I ask him to do me a favor, he always replies with, quote, "I read The Great Gatsby for you, so I may as well." It's a running joke. We always go big on birthdays, but this book means so much to me. The day after, Matt said he felt like the book was an inappropriate gift because of how expensive it is. I tried to explain to him that it's just a sentimental gift and that the cost isn't the point, but Matt said he feels weird that another man gifted me something that costs more than his car. This argument went on for a long time, and Matt said that he thinks I should return the book, and if it means so much to both of us, then Logan can keep it. I told him to grow up. We've been having this fight on and off for a week. Matt's saying that it's reasonable for him to be uncomfortable, but I think he's being a jealous child. It's not like Logan gifted me a giant diamond necklace just to show off. He gave me something heartfelt that means the world to me, and I think that should be more important than the fact that Matt thinks it's outside what he deems an acceptable budget. My mother is saying to give Matt the benefit of the doubt and maybe ask Logan to keep the book for now, and if one day Matt is more secure, I can take it back. My dad is saying Matt's an idiot. My girlfriends are split. This argument is just dragging on, and I'm leaving for my birthday trip tomorrow, and I just need some perspective on whether I'm being unreasonable wanting to keep the book. That's the original post.
Story time of when my best friend of 8 years flew to visit me and left after one day and blocked me. This story is wild, but we're gonna have to back up a little bit. So me and this girl were virtual friends for the past 8 years. We FaceTimed almost every day, talked about everything, our secrets, our life, literally everything. We had never met in person. I know, crazy. Then she started talking to a guy from my city, and she had been talking to him for a month or so, and then she was like, you know what, I'm gonna come visit you because I've been dying to meet you, and I could meet him at the same time, so it'd be, you know, killing two birds with one stone. I was super excited because we had tried to meet up multiple times before and it just never panned out, so I was excited to see her and be able to, you know, finally meet in person. I told her that she had to come stay with me, that there was no way she was staying in a hotel, she had to stay with me, and she made it clear, she's like, I'm coming for you, not for him, but like, you know, I'm gonna obviously spend some time with him, but I really mainly want to come for you. And I said, girl, don't worry about it, we can share you, no problem. A few days before she came, I went through something super difficult in my personal life, and I was at a very bad place, and I was talking to her about it because she's my friend. She asked me, she's like, do you want me to stay in a hotel if too much is going on? And I was like, no way. Like, especially in our culture, we're both Arab, it's super disrespectful if somebody comes to your city and stays in a hotel. They have to stay with you. And I saw her as like a close friend. I wanted her to be around, and like, my house is her house. She's like a close friend to me. She also had mentioned prior that she checked the hotel prices and they were so expensive, so obviously I was never gonna let her stay at a hotel. So a day or two later she came, and I couldn't pick her up from the airport because I had a mandatory lab that I had to go to, but the guy she was talking to picked her up. So I told her that I could meet her right after class, but she said she wanted to spend the day with the guy and that she would meet up with me later. So she came, met up with me later in the evening around like 8:30, 9 p.m. and she'd been here all day, which is fine. I wanted her to spend time with the guy, see if they hit it off. We went for dinner, and by that point I was getting really exhausted because I'd been up since 6 a.m. at school, so I was so tired. So we went home, we kind of got into our PJs, and just like, I was tired, so I just got in bed right away, to be honest. It was like, I could tell like you're really like in a bad place and like you're not as bubbly as usual. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, like everything I went through was super hard and I'm just struggling with it a bit. And she's like, yeah, like I hate to see you like this, like you're just so down. And I was trying my best to be as bubbly as I could for her. Like I was trying my best, but like, you know, as my friend of 8 years, like, she should be understanding of the fact that, like, you know, shit happens. Anyway, so the next morning we got up. She's like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, let's go get breakfast, then we can go to the mall, and then we can play the rest of the day by ear, because I know she had dinner with her man later that day. So we go for breakfast, and then we're in the car. We're about to go to the mall, and she tells me, you know what, I think I'm going to actually book a hotel and leave. She told me she wanted to leave because she felt like I wasn't in a good headspace, and I told her that, like, yeah, I haven't been the best, and she knows everything that went along, but, like, I really want to spend time with her, and, like, I tried to make her as comfortable as possible. I gave her own bedroom, her own bathroom. There was no guys at my house. Like, there was no other reason for her to feel uncomfortable or anything. And I told her that if she left, like, I find it super disrespectful because I opened my home to her and, like, I want to spend time with her. And it just felt like everything going on in my life, everything was going wrong, and this was just another thing that was going wrong. It just felt like in my time of need, instead of her wanting to be there for me, she just felt like I wasn't giving the vibes she wanted, so it was better to leave. And a close friend would be happy to be there with me in my hard time because we can finally be in person, not on FaceTime, and, like, we could actually be there for each other. What I went through was not something small, and, like, she completely understood. I was very transparent about everything I was going through. But she's like, I just want to leave. I just think it's best if I leave. And I made it clear that that would really upset me. And she's like, I'm leaving to respect you. But I told her that I found that disrespectful and it would make me unhappy. Anyways, an hour later, she packed her stuff and she left, and she was like, tomorrow, let's please go for dinner together. Like, I don't want you to think like I don't want to spend time with you. I still do. I just think it's best if I leave. I was like, yeah, no problem. Tomorrow we can go for dinner. It was her last day. The next day, she didn't call me, didn't message me, nothing. Completely went ghost, and I didn't message her either because I was actually really upset by what she did. That last day that she didn't message me, I saw her posting that she was out with, you know, the guy she came for. Clearly, if she came for him and she didn't want to spend time with me, she could have just said that. But anyways. And then the next morning she left the country. She left and went back home. Did not hear one word from her. And what happened next genuinely shocked me to my core. Part 3. So she didn't reach out to me. She went back home. And then honestly, I was super hurt because I just couldn't believe she did that to me. Like, I understand she wanted to have fun and, like, obviously she don't want to be around negative energy, but, like, I was trying my best to be happy, and I was happy to spend time with her. But after 8 years of friendship, and this is the first time we meet each other, for her to do that was just so disheartening. I knew after she didn't reach out to me that there's a big chance that our friendship was over, because personally I don't want to be friends with someone who clearly showed me that they don't care about me. Then I went on Instagram and noticed that she had removed me off of Instagram. Like, how rude. Like, I'm sorry, how rude. So I texted her. I was like, I'm very heartbroken that you did this. Like, I can't believe it, da da da. Like, I didn't swear. I was very respectful. I was like, I'm, like, honestly really upset. Like, I opened my home to you. I treated you like family. Like, I wanted to have you around. And, like, yes, I wasn't in the best place, but for you to leave me, like, I never made you feel like you had to be with me all the time. I wanted you to spend your time equally. But for you to have left because I wasn't giving the vibes that you wanted is just so hurtful, especially knowing everything that I was going through. She was like, I knew you'd rub it in my face that you opened your home to me. You didn't even pick me up from the airport. I'm like, I had a class that I couldn't miss. Like, and she's like, you're a terrible person. You're such a mean person. How are you so selfish? You wouldn't want me to have a good time. I did not want her to have a good time. She's like, I chose positivity for myself. Like, you chose, no problem. I told you go out with the guy, have fun, enjoy. But I just wanted you with me, like, and for us to go out. And I wanted you to stay in my house. Like, for you to stay one night and then leave is just so disrespectful. Then you don't message me, you don't ask, because I was upset because I went through something super hard and I wasn't in the best mood. That's the way you treat me. So yeah, we're no longer friends, and that's the story. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Like, I don't even know. And this is the finished look.
I found out that my husband has a secret family, so I abandoned him in a foreign country without his passport. It doesn't matter how long you've been with someone, you can never know the entire truth about someone or what they are truly hiding. I thought my husband was the absolute perfect partner, and the 6 years we have been together felt like pure bliss. We met at a work event since we both have jobs in the same industry. We both travel a lot for our careers and love traveling as a hobby as well. In the first couple of years of our relationship, we traveled together to multiple countries on our shared bucket list, and each trip felt like another chapter in the never-ending romance that was our life. He made me feel cherished and safe. We explored the world together, and I never thought anything or anyone could come between us. But like I said, you never know what's going on in someone else's head, no matter how well you think you know them. It was an average morning the day I found out about this ugly secret. We woke up together at our shared apartment, and he's going through his emails while I drank coffee. At one point, he got up to use the bathroom, and I remembered something I needed to look up. I don't use his laptop often, but I needed to look up one quick thing, and I thought it would be okay. That's when one email in particular caught my eye, and it looked like some document sent by some woman's contact name. Something told me to just click on it. The document was some sort of children's elementary school for my husband needed to sign. I was confused. Whose child was this? Why did my husband need to sign paperwork for some random kid? It just gave me a weird feeling, and I decided to open his laptop back up after he left for breakfast that morning. I kept snooping. In the next half hour, I've uncovered his entire second life that he had been hiding for about 4 years. It turns out that in the 2 years of us dating, he had cheated on me and got another woman pregnant. She gave birth, and since then, he's been visiting them regularly, telling me he was on a work trip every time he was flying out to see them. I felt like I was watching some sort of horror movie when I eventually found the baby mother's Facebook and years of family photos of them all smiling together. I looked at his shit-eating grin in the photos, and it was like he was laughing at me. I couldn't believe he had planned out this entire fake double life of his and managed to lead me on successfully for years. I wanted to strangle him the moment he walked back into the door, but a bigger part of me wanted to show him that I could plan too. I could lie too. So even though it killed me, I acted like everything was fine that morning. I even suggested we start planning our next trip. And by the end of the day, I had booked our tickets to a week's stay in Morocco, a place I had been to before, but he hadn't. It was so hard for me to smile at my cheating husband's face, and he was nothing but a worm and a lie to me, and I had to make sure my plan went smoothly, so I kept playing the happy wife. The very first night in Morocco, I got him super drunk and passed out pretty early. That's when I packed up every single thing in our hotel room, including his passport, and I left him there alone while I took a taxi to the airport. I left him there without his wallet, passport, or phone. It's been 2 weeks now and I haven't heard from him, and I wonder if his baby mama is concerned about him too. Too bad. I hope he's stuck there feeling afraid, alone, and abandoned, just like me.
These are all the insane rules that my strict Asian parents had for me growing up, and why I will never in a million years ever have these for my kids. By the way, I grew up in an extremely toxic household, so by no means is any of this normal or okay. The one thing that I will thank my parents for is teaching me exactly how not to raise my kids. Not only did they turn me into the sneakiest motherfucker ever, literally get away with murder anyway, but there was so many deep-rooted self-worth issues that took years of therapy to reverse. So number one, I had to go to school no matter what, no matter if I was throwing up sick or what. No matter if a family member just died, school was just non-negotiable. You don't know how many times I have gotten on the bus with bloody noses, like about to throw up. My bus driver is literally like, who sent their kid like this? Obviously, if I'm being sent to school with a fucking fever, then that's also a danger to other kids and just fucking wrong. I remember laughing at the concept of a mental health day because I didn't even get like a fucking physical health day. One thing about me is I was raised with complete fear. I was just so scared of getting like screamed at or like, you get what I mean? I was never allowed to have friends over the house ever under any circumstance. Like if I even asked, I would probably get screamed at for like 40 minutes. At a certain point, I just stopped asking. On the flip side of that, it was also really hard for me to get rides anywhere. My parents did not want to drive me to anyone's house ever. They were too busy doing their own thing pretty much. So I feel like I grew up pretty lonely. Now that caused me when I got older to sneak a lot of people into the house. Not even just boys or anything like that. Like even just my girlfriends, I would just sneak into the house and not tell them because I was so scared of getting screamed at. And I feel like that still affects how I like communicate now. I tend to over-explain the living shit out of myself. Like if I'm 5 minutes late to something, I will literally be telling my friend like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that I'm 5 minutes late. This happened and this went wrong and I'm just so sorry and like blah blah blah. And they were like, girl, it's literally not that big of a deal. One thing my parents made extremely clear to us that they were not my friends. After my very first breakup, like, I was heartbroken. I was, I think, a sophomore in high school. I tried to go to my mom and like cry to her, and I literally got screamed at with tears rolling down my eyes about how stupid and dumb I am for crying over a boy and to leave her the fuck alone because she's busy. I remembered watching all the Disney Channel shows and movies about how when like Alex Russo went to her mom about a breakup or something, her mom was so nice and understanding and she was like, "It's okay, mija." I really thought that it was gonna be like that and then just got extremely disappointed. I was like, how did I go for my mom for advice about a breakup and leave feeling worse about myself? Literally so pathetic, but like the trauma adds spice, so it's fine. But I've just never had that relationship with my mom where I could like tell her everything and like confide in her and be all cute and hang out with her. I've always been so damn jealous of people that are best friends with their moms, and I honestly tend to get close to like my boyfriend's mom and my friends' moms because I don't have that. So when I was younger, Instagram was like the big thing, right? There was no TikTok, there was no Musical.ly. It was literally just Instagram and Snapchat. My dad blocked Instagram on the router. Gosh, my nose contour looks like a fucking, I don't even know. As y'all know, I wasn't allowed to have people over. And most of the time, I couldn't get rides anywhere. So I spent a lot of time alone. So Instagram was like the one thing that I could use to communicate with my friends. So at 13 years old, I researched and found out how to install a VPN on my phone and got Instagram back. This is one I've seen a lot on TikTok about, and I didn't really know it was universal experience, but gifts would cancel out bad treatment. Essentially, my parents could say and do the worst possible things to us, completely traumatize us, but it was canceled out if they took us on a nice vacation or bought us something we wanted. Me and my dad are really close now, and he has like deeply and sincerely apologized for everything he put me through as a little kid. Basically just explained he wasn't ready to have kids and like give up his life and whatever. But my mother, on the other hand, if any three of us kids talks about our traumatizing childhood, the effect it had on us, she will still be like, "Shut up, you had an amazing childhood, you went on vacations and we bought you stuff." Did she not realize that she scarred all of us for like life and we all had to go in like months of therapy to like be somewhat normal functioning member of society? So like I said, social media was like blocked for the most part, except for YouTube. And since I was alone so much, I really did get my childhood through watching Bertaley. So shout out Jules LeBlanc. I love you. You saved my life. It's just so funny how something that I wasn't supposed to be allowed to have is now my full-time job. Like, I fully believe that them taking away social media and like restricting me so much as a kid led to me pursuing social media as a full-time job. I never really even wanted to have kids, but part of me really wants to, just so I can raise them with like the most utter love and care and give them every single thing that I didn't get growing up. Like, I want to be the house that all the kids come over to. There's little slumber parties, and there's hangout sessions at my house, and I'm the cool mom. And I want to have that mother-daughter relationship where my daughter can tell me literally everything, and she's like my best friend. And lastly, if you're in a toxic household right now, just please keep holding on. Promise it will be over. You will get out of it. And I'm sorry, you have a damn good personality, because trauma really does build character. You're probably so funny. You're probably so sweet. I love you so much. And I am a real-life example in front of you guys that you can get out of it.
My husband cheated on me, so I gave him a taste of his own medicine. Story time. Me and Steve had happily been married for 4 years before he one day decided he wanted to propose the idea of an open relationship. I immediately shot this down. It just wasn't for me. So a few months passed and I started to notice some weird behaviours from Steve. He was going on more nights out with his friends, late night phone conversations, and we were growing more and more distant as the days went on. So I suspected the worst, so I decided to hire a private investigator. And this confirmed my worst fears. Steve had been seeing someone else. So instead of confronting him, I decided to hatch a little plan. The revenge was sweet and simple and perfectly fitting for the situation. I invited an old friend, Alan, over. Alan was an actor, and Alan was more than ready to play his part in this retribution. So I called Steve and I told him that I'd be working one night really late in the office, so I wouldn't be able to answer the phone. When in reality, I was actually just round at Alan's deciding what we were going to do. We were preparing for an Oscar-worthy level of performance. So the next day, again, I texted Steve and told him that I would be working late. And it wasn't rare for Steve to just let himself into my apartment whenever I was working super late. So me and Alan sat on my sofa and just waited for him to walk in. Just as planned, Steve walked in and me and Alan was sat super close on the sofa, bottle of wine on the go. So as Steve walked into the room, Alan launched into action. He launched himself on top of me, started kissing me, and Steve just stood there in the doorway, frozen. And that was when Alan looked up from the sofa, looked Steve dead in the eye and said, "Oh, I didn't realise your ex-husband was going to be back so early." The mention of ex-husband was the final straw. Steve bolted from our house. That wasn't the end. No. The next day, I served Steve with our divorce papers. And that was when I explained everything about the night before with Alan, that it was a setup, that I knew exactly what had been going on. The look on his face was priceless when he realised the lengths I'd gone to. I was proud that I didn't have to stoop to his level to prove my point. So I guess in the end, maybe he did get his idea of an open relationship, just not in the way he expected.
This is why you should never fucking settle. These are the things that my boyfriend does for me that shot my standards through the fucking roof. Number one, he literally hand makes scrapbooks for me every single anniversary. Name one man you know who fucking scrapbooks. Like, are you kidding me? He texts me not a good morning text, but a good morning paragraph every single morning without fail. He will not let me pay for a singular thing. In fact, he literally takes my wallet and hides it so I can't pay, because I want to pay, but I can't. Even though we are fully dating and have been for years. He still asks me to be his Valentine every single year, and it's always with a whole ass presentation. Flowers, candy, stuffed animals, the whole 9 yards. This man plans entire trips for me to be able to hang out with my long distance best friend in Chicago. He drove 10 hours just so I could see her. Like, take your pants off. Take your pants off right now. Literally, as soon as we started dating, are you kidding me? He unadded, unfollowed literally any girl he's ever talked to. I didn't even ask him to. Just trust me, we live in Bel Air, Maryland. There's no, like, threats walking around here, sorry. But my point is, he made it crystal clear that I'm the only girl he has eyes for. Like, I have never once had to worry about another girl in this relationship, ever. Girls have never been a problem. He literally will not let me touch his car door handle. And if he forgets, he tells me to stand there until he remembers to open it. He flexes the living shit out of me. He posts me up on fucking Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. In other words, he makes it very, very crystal clear to me how proud he is to be with me. Okay, as y'all hobknockers know, I do social media as a full-time job. He is the most supportive boyfriend I could ever ask for. Not only does he buy my merch, watches every single one of my videos, constantly refreshes all my accounts so he can congratulate me if I hit any new milestones. He drives me everywhere. I tell y'all, I have probably put about 200 miles on my car since we started dating, and we've been dating for 2 years. Those 200 miles are literally the gym and back while he's at work. When I do drive, he fucking fills up my tank. I do not let him, by the way. When he's like replacing the brakes in my car or something, he will literally take my car to the gas station and just do it without telling me. Because he knows damn well I will not let him do that. Like, he already does so much. As some of y'all know, I have like severe ADHD. I know you guys think I'm funny, but I'm one of the most annoying motherfuckers to literally ever exist. Like, I used to be so insecure about it. When I tell y'all that this man constantly matches my fucking energy, acts just as fucking unhinged as I do, I am never afraid to be myself in front of that man. That dude has seen some shit. My point is, you would never know that I used to be with someone who would treat me like a fucking shit stain. But if you're with a dude that treats you like shit, this is your sign to fucking go. Trust me when I say there is someone so much hotter and so much better waiting for you. And he probably has an unwashed ass too. All I know is if I would have stayed in that toxic ass relationship, I would have never found the dude who treats me like a literal princess. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. So this is your sign to dump him and find someone hotter. Love you, hobknockers, and go find your fucking Anthony. He's out there waiting, trust me.
My 31 male, girlfriend 30 female, accused me of cheating after her friend sent her a photo of me hugging my cousin. I, 31 male, have quite a large family. My mother has 3 brothers and my father has 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Each one of them is either married or divorced and has at least 1 child. Most of them live in the same town I live, but one of my cousin, Martha, 32 female, lives on the other side of the country. I used to get along with my cousin, but she distanced herself from her parents over 10 years ago, and she now has a job that keeps her very busy. So I basically met her only once or twice in the past 10 years. We call each other at least once a month. I have been dating Laura, 30 female, for the past 6 months. She is a wonderful woman, and until recently, we had never argued before. She knows my parents and my sister, and in the same way, I only met her parents and her brother. Last Saturday, something happened. I woke up to a phone call from Martha. She told me that she was on a working trip and would pass by my town that morning and told me we could take a coffee together and chit-chat for a bit if I was free. I agreed and we met that morning. Nothing particular happened. I was a bit happy to meet her after a long time. We talked for a bit, hugged, and parted. That afternoon, I was supposed to pick up Laura for dinner, so I went back home, prepared, and went to pick her up. When I arrived at her house, she basically blew up on me, accusing me of cheating. I didn't know what she was talking about, so she showed me her phone. Apparently, Lucia, one of Laura's friends, saw me with my cousin, took a photo of us hugging, and sent it to Laura, and she thought Martha was a woman I was cheating with. I talked to Laura about my cousin in the past, but I guess I never showed her a photo, so she had no idea what she looked like. So I took out my phone and showed her I was calling my cousin, and once Martha answered, I had her confirm she was the woman I met that morning. Laura calmed down and apologized. The rest of the afternoon was a bit awkward and we called it a night quite early. Since then though, I have been thinking about what happened and don't know how to feel. On one side, I can understand the misunderstanding. On the other side, Laura didn't even doubt I was cheating. She didn't ask me about it, question me about meeting someone that morning. She directly blew up in my face. What did I say? I don't know if it's something worth bringing up again with Laura or if it's better to just brush it off and let it go. I also don't know how I should behave in front of Lucia. We never argued before, and I don't think I ever gave her or Laura a reason to suspect I wasn't faithful. Yet, they immediately jumped to that. I need advice on how I should act.